let's get comfy, which basically means on the ground. So I've got a thin head cushion, such a kneeling cushion, but you don't have to use anything. A half block is good. A slim paperback volume is what we used to use in the olden days. Or nothing at all. Some people like nothing at all. And some people need more support. What you're trying to do is find a position where your spine can be fundamentally straight. You see, without the head, there's a tendency to shorten the back of the neck and stretch the throat. And even though you might try and correct that, that drifts over time. And with the small support, your chin isn't going to be drifting up towards the ceiling, basically. Neither is it going to be pushed downwards. It's just, when we think about the neck, which is not a bad place to start, let's start with our hands. So if you just, with the palm of your hand, stroke your hands upwards. Lift your head to enable you to do this. Legs bent or straight, whatever is most comfortable. And stroke the back of your neck. And in so doing, lengthen it. And then lay it down as if it were ever so precious, which of course it is. Elbows together and just rolling a little bit from side to side to open between the shoulder blades. So you've got a soft back of neck, which is against the ground. In fact, make sure that the back of the waist is on the ground. And as you breathe out, just spend the exhalation on dropping the hips, dropping the buttocks, emptying the thighs. Lumpen, dropping, plummeting into the ground. And then if you just see if you can, wherever your arms are now, so the next exhalation, you breathe down and you really let the torso and the pelvis be heavy, torso and pelvis. And you concentrate on rooting and dropping the pelvis into the ground, and see if you can just let the arms float up. As if your hands had air bubbles, and your hands can then float around. The air itself has become thick and slightly supportive. So the arms feel a bit like seaweed, and the hands are the air bubbles in the seaweed. Your arms a bit like grass. It's grass, I don't know, whatever. You're at the bottom of the ocean and the arms are floating. And the point what I'm trying to get at, I suppose, is that the arms are moving without the effort in the shoulders, and certainly without clenching a buttock, the stomach, without involving the face. And then let the elbows drift down towards the ground and rest there. And you can do whatever is most comfortable with the arms. I suggest either going to go down by your sides, in which case ideally the back of the hand is resting on the ground rather than the palms, and that just helps open the chest easily. Or if you find it's helpful in any way for breathing or more restful, just rest the palms lightly, the fingertips slightly on your stomach. So those are really the two options, with the elbows on the ground. And mention the ground. The only way muscles can really relax is when they have support. If your muscles are involved in holding up, if your head it needs muscles for the support, then those muscles are working, no matter how well positioned your head is. When you're standing, there are muscles working, no matter how easy and soft and aligned and all the rest of it. When we're on the ground, Ha! Now we can really turn the muscles off. As you breathe out, turn the muscles off. The whole body. There's just anywhere that you sense, notice that you're holding, doing, that you're busy, that there's activity, no matter how benign. As you breathe out, and years ago I coined the phrase the sigh of release, and I stick with it. It's I find it quite descriptive, because we sigh as we release, as we breathe out. You can only sigh with an exhalation. There's an feeling of putting a heavy load down, and that heavy load was ourselves, and the down is the ground, and the ground can be trusted. The ground can be trusted. No matter how heavy we become, the ground is utterly trustworthy. So what I assume we're all doing is stuff that we've been doing for at least 18 months together regularly. And one of the emphasis I'm thinking of today is this idea of being a passenger here. Be a passenger. So as the breath leaves the body, ride the breath. Be a passenger on your own exhalation is really what I mean. It's another way of expressing the sigh of release as this riding on the exhalation, undoing, letting go, abandoning with the exhalation. It's a very simple, very powerful thing to do at any time. I'm not going to talk about changing the position, by the way, not for a bit anyway. So if you ever feel that you want to change around, move around, get warm, whatever. But it does help to sort yourself out to the point where you really can rest your bones where you are now. Let the bones drop, get the muscles out of the way so the bones can settle. And inevitably, this is, as I said just before we started the recording, it's the last session of this kind of class. So I'll just go over, I can't help but go over a few things that we've been doing. I mean, obviously, as I said, there's the sigh of release, the riding of the exhalation. There's the very important not doing the inhalation. It's another way of expressing passenger, really. But if you don't actively do the inhalation, in fact, if you just insert your will to wait a moment, no more than 2 or 3 seconds, but at the end of the exhalation, just let there be a pause, a gap, a hiatus. A time when nothing is happening. We're not doing. The end of the exhalation has simply stopped. The exhalation simply stopped, sorry. And I don't really mean the end of the exhalation in the sense of an empty lung. I mean simply when the breath stops leaving the body. At that point, wait, watch and settle. And look to see what your body's done. So be your passenger of the breath and you're a passenger in your body. And you watch and you see, oh, look, that happened, all that happened, wow. And then the next breath's already coming in. And another thing that I've paid a lot of time talking about is not being upset by the inhalation, not letting, I don't mean emotionally, although that comes with the territory. I mean, as the breath comes in, don't let the muscles engage. As the breath comes in, stay passive. As the breath comes in, keep your watching brief, your passenger brief. You know, ride the inhalation gently, gently, gently. This idea of being sneaky, getting the inhalation, into the lungs without setting off the shoulders or face or jaws or throat. And then letting the exhalation soothe and settle you, and you melt a bit more. And then it comes to an end. And what happens then? What is the opportunity in the pause? That's been another whole quite recent set of themes around this exploration of the pause. What is the opportunity in this next pause? So let's bring it to here, the now, the this specific moment. The breath, next breath that leaves the body, watch it go out, watch it stop well before you needs to. It just naturally stops where it does all automatically, and wait. And what did your body manage to glean, to use that precious pause for? Okay, so then we've also talked about the third eye, right in the middle of the forehead, and that being capacious. The idea of starting with a place right in the center of the forehead. A specific place or point, and as you breathe out, because there's that sigh of release, and it happens, it's focused in the forehead, and as you manage somehow to soften the tissue inside the forehead, more space goes there. And then, I'm not sure if we've done this in a breathing class, but what I want to do today in this breathing session is to be constantly looking for, finding rich connections. So as you release the center of the forehead, I'm going to tell you what's happening with me. And if you find that you're going off on a chase of your own, that's brilliant. Come back and join mine as and when it's useful. But basically, concentrating on the forehead, 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 and I can't help but notice both eyeballs softening inside the eye sockets. And I'm looking for the eyelids and seeing if I can find the eyelids and the soft eyeballs underneath the eyelids, using the soft eyeball feeling. And there's definitely a case to say that the eyelid softening is related to the forehead softening. And they inevitably have a strong effect on the jaws. So as you release the forehead and the eyeballs begin to soften, and because the eyelids quieten as well, then the deep muscles around the ears also quieten. And I haven't gone off onto different ideas here. As we trust the ground, as we melt and drop into the ground through our contact points without becoming agitated with the inhalation, we ride the release of the exhalation, the sigh of release as we breathe out, and look for the connection opportunity at the end of the exhalation. And now, as I was thinking about my right jaw and noticing the right jaw and the lips, the right jaw, the right buttock, spontaneously did a big, okay, then I'm letting go. And I genuinely hadn't felt that my right buttock was busy until it released. And that's often the way. You don't notice that you're holding tension until the release points out that you were. And of course, the right buttock releasing made me realize that my right groin had been tight. And once the right groin releases, the outside of the right thigh, actually the top of the outside of the right thigh, so sighing with just delight at the joy of releasing, of handing over responsibility to the ground. You know, ground have me. This is a ground appreciation seminar where the whole body is dropping, falling, melting. I don't really need to feel the need. That happens. That isn't a do. That's a new thing. That's doing no thing. So I'm aware that because I suppose I was holding more tension on my right side, a lot of the spontaneous releases happened on the right. So I'm choosing now to find a place on the left-hand side of my body where I'd like, which is most noticeable. Right groin, right buttock, front of right ankle. So kind of at the top of the foot there. Inside the left foot. Left buttock, left groin. It's like playing chase. As you concentrate on releasing, let's say left groin, left groin, left groin, left groin, left groin, what is the opportunity? What happened at the end of that exhalation? Because the opportunity can be something your body takes, not your mind. You can still stay a passenger. You're looking to see if you release one place in particular, find where you are, any place that you haven't yet released completely, the place that you really do notice there's a muscle still at it. Melt. Decide to, and actually melt that muscle action down, 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 down. With the exhalation, as water wears away rocks, the breath constantly, consistently releases tension. Now, an area that I think, even if you don't regularly hold tension there, will benefit from releasing and will make everyone feel better, is the combination of the solar plexus and the abdomen. And the other thing that is important about releasing these areas is that they impinge the breath on the breath. Because your tummy's really got nothing to do with the breath. You know, your tummy is very much audience here, or even bystander, innocent bystander, really. The action in the breath is obviously internal. It's coming through the nostrils, hopefully. I know everyone in this group here knows that you always breathe in and out through nostrils, but if anyone is ever watching this at another time, receiving the air through lightly closed lips, through wide nostrils, gently into the bottom of the lungs. not disturbing the face, the shoulders, the throat at all. It becomes a soothing exhalation and soothe your tummy. Focus on your tummy as you breathe out. Oh, there, 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 there. Oh. Because even if you hadn't really noticed, your tummy, the inside of the skin holds tension around where the ribs meet at the front, around the adrenal glands there, tension. Through any digestive issues, tension. As well as shock, fear, grief, anger, tension, all in the tummy. So as much as we can, if we were to heal our tummies with these breaths, by not letting the tummy become tight as the breath comes in, and soothing, gently, not doing a big exhalation, just gently, gently, gently softening the inside of the tummy, not a full exhalation, just a gentle exhalation. And the reason that I spent all this precious time on soothing the muscular system is because I want to have as calm a vessel for the breath as possible. So that when you begin to let a bit more air in through the nose, so not a lot, don't do anything fast, anything sudden. But as you breathe in, let more breath come in. And see if you can feel your lungs expand from the ground, through the ground, into the ground, from the ground's point of view. And let the breath be quite big, but not so much as you ever strain to the point that you're going to burst, obviously. And you still want there to be a lovely transition from inhalation to exhalation. So you just breathe out whenever you're ready. Oh, lovely, lovely, dropping, falling, melting, riding the release, and internal massage. There's this, I think it's an old idea for me, but a very powerful one that was probably, very important image to me for years. The exhalation is an internal massage. It goes down the spine, everything the breath touches down deep in the spine, through the groins and the buttocks and the legs and the feet, and the arms into the ground. Everything the breath touches is magically softened, magically released. And the body is non-existent. Where the body used to be is just a very fine, thin, elastic shell that easily expands softly to receive the breath and simply settles easily. No big deal as the breath goes out. Flutters back down into the ground, into the ground, into the ground, into the ground. You really want to get this feeling that there is only this slightly bigger inhalation and then the settling. There is only the breath. And just check as you breathe in, or indeed as well as you breathe out, that you haven't brought tension into the back of the neck. There's no frown. The lips haven't become tight. The shoulders aren't engaged. The throat is empty. Keep the tongue at the top of the mouth if it feels like it's in the way. So you rest the tongue in the upper palate. So one last lovely big inhalation where you become tall and wide and 3 dimensions. Allow both lungs to expand greatly, but just naturally, and then, oh, lovely, soothing, healing, softening exhalation as you melt into the ground, and then just have a rest. And if you haven't got your feet on the ground now, bend your knees and have your feet on the ground with your heels fairly close to your hips, but not so close as ever hurts your knees. And hopefully feet pretty much facing forward. And if that's got your jaws or forehead busy, turn them off. If your shoulders have got busy, turn them off. Undo the arm muscles, relax the back of the neck. A little bit of bliss allowed to show on your face. This idea of a portrait photographer who's going to turn up at any moment, at literally any moment. I don't mean any moment in the next second. I mean at any moment during this session. To paparazzi your face. So just this softness, allow the softness of the facial muscles. To have a positive release in the face. As the breath comes in, don't allow tension to come into the throat, neck and shoulders. And as you breathe out, breathe out. And instead of stopping where we have been doing and watching for the opportunity in the pause, continue to breathe out and 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 continue to breathe out until you really genuinely feel that the exhalation has brought your tummy button in. And before the inhalation comes in, relax completely. I sometimes, and this is not a suggestion or instruction at all, but I do sometimes find that in doing that, my pelvis kind of tilts a bit. And if that's happened, because the feet drop into the ground, if that's happened, release the buttocks and the pelvis completely before the inhalation comes in, so that you can receive the inhalation through a huge space at the top of the nostrils. And then as you breathe out, riding the wave of release, and then continuing to breathe out slowly, but with intention. That's another theme, with the intention of emptying the lung and pulling the diaphragm up into the rib cage and letting the tummy button come in. And if your feet drop into the ground and your knees go away from you a little bit and the pelvis comes off the ground, it will only be enough for, and this is a John Sturck expression actually, a thin paperback volume to be slid underneath your pelvis. Breathe in with the pelvis still up, and then exhale. One more time, completely, and this time use the exhalation to see if you can get the back of the waist down before your bum. Simple as that. Get the back of the waist down before your tail goes down. Have a resting. Few breaths now. 2 or 3, not loads, just a few resting breaths. So they're precious. Oh, yum, 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 yum. Ground, bit of bliss, empty arms, empty pelvis, quiet tummy. Heavy head, heavy hips. So that you are an innocent vessel, you're a passenger on the breath. You're not doing the breath is simply using your body, found a host. So the breath arrives gently, not bothering you, not physically setting off the jaws, the throat, the shoulders, the face, and the exhalation, riding the wave of release, and then continuing to breathe out and continuing to breathe out and continuing to breathe out, like squeezing all the air out of the water out of a sponge. You don't want any left at all. It's hard to talk while you're doing this, but you keep breathing out and out. And I found when I'm on my third or fourth of doing this, the knees want to go further away. The knees want to go beyond the toes. And that actually gives a nice feeling of opening at the top of the front of the thighs, by the way. So if you have done an exhalation and your pelvis has lifted through this complete exhalation, just stay there for a minute or half a minute and check the arms and the shoulders and the head and the face and the throat, and be sanguine, be chilled, man. Don't be bothered with a V. And then as you exhale, one more time with the full exhalation, do something to get your arms out of the way. With a full exhalation, so it's the exhalation that draws the tummy button in, which draws the pelvic floor up. The tail goes away as if someone lying on the floor in front of your feet, you're pulling it, and your back of the waist goes onto the floor, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, as you roll down the lumbar vertebrae, and that's work. It is work, that part of it. But it's so tied up with this full exhalation that I just think it's worth the experience. And I'm just going to do one more of those. And this isn't coming up into a back bend moment. Although, if you feel that you have that urge, But this is a breathing. It's a body response. The emphasis. Here, have a rest on the ground. See if you can really release the shoulders, the head, and the hips into the ground. Soft, spongy feet. If you're feeling tense in the tummy and you don't feel like doing another one, then don't do another one. Simply just enjoy the ground, enjoy the ground, enjoy the ground, enjoy the ground, enjoy the ground. Yum, 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 yum. Particularly enjoy the ground as you exhale, and as you inhale, don't rip yourself contumely from the earth. Just stay planted. Have a sigh of release, riding the wave of release, watching where it goes. Nothing difficult, easy peasy. Breath comes in as soon as you finished the normal exhalation. And then when you're ready, one last full exhalation, which you genuinely try and let your body respond to the breath rather than doing a move in time to the breath. So I want to go beyond, breathing and moving at the same time, and have the movement be a physical manifestation. The movement be a physical manifestation of the full exhalation. Exhale, 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 exhale. What happens? What is the opportunity? How does your body respond? I'm going to shut up and let you watch your own body. Connections, connections, connections. Dance as the body responds with its natural dance, its natural response to the breath. Let's bring up the knees. Hold the knees. And roll both knees to one side. And come into floor twist. So it's a gift, isn't it? This the physical messages that we're getting here are richer. There's more. There's much more going on. I don't mean than what we've just been doing. I mean than just lying with the legs straight. So there's first of all, there's stuff to cope with, and I know everyone in this small but beautifully select group. I know that we're all I think starting naturally with the physical, but you know, what is the lower arm doing? What is the where is the strongest sensation? Let's just go to the strongest sensation. Keep it simple. Strongest sensation, and then the connection. So this is a breath thing. As you breathe out, send your focus, your exhalation. I'm not going to tell you where mine is just at this moment, just for this breath. Find the strongest, the most uncomfortable place in your body and really sense what's going on there. Don't react to it, but really try and describe it to yourself. What really is it? What is it actually like? If you can take away the judgment words, the pejorative terms, you know, the good and bad, you know, the and just what's it really? You don't have to use words, but what is it? What's the nature of the sensation, and what is the location of the sensation? What is it about the sensation that you didn't like, and do you still not like it? Because that's the weird thing, isn't it? When you, for me, I hope it's true for you guys. I suspect it is. My place has been my top groin and buttock. And as I've gone into question, what is this feeling in the groin and in the buttock? What is it actually like? First of all, it changes, you know, under the gaze. But second of all, after a little while, maybe it's partly because it's softened, it isn't unpleasant. It genuinely is a sensation. It's just, it feels different there than it does underneath. Anyway, we've had enough time to relax the back of the neck, be ready for your close up with the face, empty the throat, soften the arms. The tummy obviously is very quiet, and I've been wittering on about the lower body. Now let's just focus on the free lung as the breath comes in. Put your hand on the back of the lung wherever you can reach it, and as the breath goes out into the hand, as the breath comes in into the hand, and as the breath goes out, oh, yummy, yummy ground, have me, release, time off, chill out, do less, ride the wave, do no thing. And that's a whole body response to the exhalation. The inhalation comes in a little bit gingerly, quietly at first. It helps to manage the body's response to the inhalation, not to let it rush. And the exhalation. Oh. Two more breaths. This is the first of the two. Into the palm of the hand, and then the whole body melt. Last breath comes in and the whole body melt. Oh. And then just let's have a little, treat ourselves to a little rest here. Just a little, oh, yum, yum rest. Where you're not doing special breathing and you're not concentrating on this or that or the other. We've done that and we're just treating ourselves to 2 or 3 breaths of a reasonable, hopefully, degree of comfort in the twist. Soft body, passenger, riding the breath. Then roll onto the back. One, keep the knees separate, I think, to do that. So there's no strain. Do whatever you need to do to go onto the other side without strain. And very often, by the way, you might be more comfortable if you move your head pillow. You have to kick something out of your way, just a blanket, you know. But the least amount of you hard possible to come into the other side. Here's an expression I was using a lot a year or 2 ago, I think, when we started this stuff. Take stock. It's a very elegant, really, way, and elegant simplicity. You know, I like the ordinariness of the idea of taking stock. It's an internal stock take, this. And it's of the moment. It's a stock take of this moment. It's possibly more of a 3D snapshot or video burst. You know, what's going on inside your body right now? Where's the big stuff? Is there a... I mean, I genuinely, when I was thinking of which is my lowest hanging fruit, which place is bothering me the most, I had 2 contenders. I had a shoulder and an upper body and a lower body contender. So I'm taking my upper body, my shoulder, down a notch by bringing the hand up off the ground onto the ribs, and see if I can turn the shoulder off in order to better concentrate on the tightness in my lower body. So wherever your strongest sensation is, try and bring it down to 1. And really be specific now. This is I think a really valuable theme, and one I use all the time in my own practice, trying to be highly specific. So I don't have this idea of releasing my left leg. You know, I'm thinking, where is the strongest bothersome point? If I could just turn one little area off or down, where would it be? Where would I like to just put a bit of numbing, you know, there? And that's a place that is fairly small and quite exact. Focus on it as you breathe out. Oh, like a laser, soothing laser, direct your love, your help, your attention, your care, and your intention to stop your muscles being busy in that area. So even though what you feel, I mean, what I felt more like a bruise than a stretch, to be honest. Not a very bad bruise, but you know, it was that nature of feeling. So I didn't concentrate on soothing the bruise as such. I concentrated on the muscles in the area, just see if I can get them to do a bit less and become a bit more soft, a bit less needy, a bit less active. So take stock again. Where else? What else? sometimes you just notice easy stuff. Like I just noticed my my lower arm, the shoulder and arm was really quite engaged, and I just realised I didn't need to, that it was doing it. Stop it. Done. Anyway, time to turn our attention to the hand on the lung, rib cage, the back elbow on the ground, the palm on the rib cage, and use the palm as a guiding beacon. See if you can send your inhalation gently, quietly, stealthily into the palm of your hand or into the skin under the palm of your hand. And have a lovely, yum, yum rest as you breathe out. So we're going to do 2 more of these. Stealthily, quiet, tiptoeing the inhalation into the skin on the inside of the palm of the hand. Okay. Now, come back, come out of that gently, slowly, carefully. I want to actually finish this session with a short meditation. And if you are used to sitting cross-legged and it's the way you like to breathe, and or you can sit against a wall with your legs open, or use a chair. Please use a chair if you have one handy and you don't often or normally sit on the ground. But I'm not going to talk about how we're sitting. So, however you want to sit. With your back straight, and so sitting doesn't become a problem. And so for that reason, I've given myself a bit of a rise and something to soften underneath my ankles as well. Oh yeah. So we've done a long-ish. Relaxation. So I'm hoping we're all using that now. How we're sitting now, taking stock. Is the spine straight? Is the head balanced on the spine? Are the shoulders released? However you're sitting, whether you're on a chair, doing straight bent, whatever, grow the ground up over the top of your legs and down on the other side. And the last lesson, those of you who will remember, I showed an image of the hillock. You don't need my image, have your own. The ground has grown up and has created a mound where you're sitting so that you're buried up to the waist, firmly, kindly, no pulling or pain or involved here, but just firmly held, as if everything below the waist is underground and therefore abandoned. You know, it's just heavy. It's going to be right next to you, you know, ready to use when you want it. But for the time being, it's parked. The lower half is parked. A bit of bliss. Remember the connection between the forehead and the eyeballs and the jaws and the lips. So, meditating on the breath. The Buddha meditation. It's not the breath, it's my breath. We can only, each and every one of us, we meditate on our own breath. This idea of being a very awake passenger is completely relevant for meditation. So all our senses, the eyes are shut partly in order to help us develop our other senses. Become more acutely aware of the texture of the skin on the back of the neck and in the tummy, what's going on in the groins and the palms of the hands, how you feel the weight, how you feel the air, what you can hear, what you can sense through the skin other than what's outside of the body. Are there any smells? And you can send your hearing awareness inwards to the heartbeat, but you can also send your awareness outwards into the room next door, into the sky above, into the district, out and out, up into the sky, into the roads. And experience ourselves as a breath in the center of just a very small part of a huge, unfathomable, magnificent creation, of which we are a very small part. And whenever you notice that your attention has drifted, and it will and it does, and it will continue to, just come momentarily back to your body with the breath at the center. Holding your attention. Thank you, guys.